but in the context of violence today, right, of the Ground W.A R curriculum, how am I going to choose what it is that I'm going to put in the place of an answer to a certain predicament, right, or the question? Reality is what determines how I come to that process, okay? If at any point I take the reality of what it is that I'm doing and transfer it, but do not include in that transference the ritual connection to reality in that next generation, then it's going to be lost. We see this with a lot of traditional martial arts schools. We're seeing this now with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That first line of people that came and showed the thing, that did the thing, did it as a interpretation or a relationship that they've built with reality, right? Whether it's Kung Fu or the old school Jiu-Jitsu guys, old school karate guys, they used to be hard-edged, real dudes. Why? Because they had to actually show and prove what it is that they were doing in a realistic situation. Now, when we do not have inherent in the way that we practice this from generation to generation, we lose that, right? So if it is not designed in the context of the rituals of the art, it's gone. 1, 2, 3 generations, it is gone. Your connection to what it is that we're doing that is real is lost. So I designed a way to explain this, right? And the framework, right, this sort of metaphorical framework that I designed is behind the game telephone, right? So now you guys have played telephone as a kid. If you haven't, it's a group of people, usually you're 5 when you do this. They sit in a circle, and the first person tells the next person a statement of some sort. The dog fell off the tree. He then whispers it to the next one, and on it goes. It's whispered from person to person to person to person, and finally the last person says what the statement was, and it is almost assuredly a completely different statement. Almost sometimes never even resembling that initial statement at all. Well, that is what martial arts is. When the first person who knew the thing, right, who had the secret, the relationship with reality, transfers it to the next guy. And then he transfers it to the guy after, and then generation after generation. It needn't be a time commentary, but just a relational commentary. The second guy learns it, teaches the third guy. The third guy learns it, teaches the fourth guy. So there's a bunch of different ways that this could manifest itself. But only the first guy actually touched the magic, right? Actually touched reality. So the way we circumvent that issue, the way we make sure that it's not an issue at all, is when I play the game of telephone with my art, I do not whisper anything. I pass somebody a piece of paper, and it has the statement on it. So I go whisper this, and then pass it. The dog fell out of the tree. The guy heard it. The dog fell out of the tree. The dog fell out of the tree. The dog fell out of the tree. This is reality. So when we train touching reality, it refocuses us, it recenters us on where it is we need in order to be functional. This is sparring. This is going live. This is finding a way to replicate to the best of your ability a representation of live training within the context of your training. We're not shooting people in the face in order to be effective, face shooters. But we have targets that look like people. Why do we do that? One sliver closer to reality. Why do they have 3D models? Why do they have models, on ranges that bleed, right? These ballistic models. Why do they do one step closer to reality? So what it is that we're doing here, although it's going to be very curriculum-based, there's also a need for you guys to read the paper, right? Which is the actual live drills, and it's why it's so important. And there's a lot of different ways that we can apply this fact, this observation. Probably the most prevalent And the worst, the biggest saboteur in the martial arts world is people don't want people to know that they are not good at what it is that they do. So they close the door to the vacuum. In the analogy of the game of telephone, you reach somebody who can't read, right? Dog fell out of the tree, gives him the paper, he can't read them. Right? So what does he do? Tears up the paper and just whispers. So you have somebody that makes a decision to stop that from continuing. You know, their reality, that basically integrity, you know, in what it is that you're doing. So very general concept, very general, you know, philosophical position, but certainly applicable to why it is that today is designed the way it is, and why it is we designed this curriculum, why I designed this curriculum the way that I did. All right, any questions on that?